This is the MOBA project. It had been asleep for a while now. When I opened the project again after all these months, I got hit with a weird feeling. Almost like I was seeing the game the way a stranger would see it for the first time. Like, hold on, why are these farm chickens fighting each other? And why does this make so much sense to me? It wasn't really a first meeting, of course. Too much of me is inside this thing for that. Oh no. But I still couldn't believe how much of my life was sitting there, inside such a small repo. Me and wifey are dead serious about the dream though. A real place in a real farm, where our little monkey babies run around like they own the world. That dream leaks into everything I make now. So opening this project again reminded me of something simple. Art is sometimes just you yelling as honestly as you can about what matters to you. Having your own place, trying to live right, build something real, and protect an idea that won't leave you alone. Now bro, if you have one of those dreams too, don't feel ashamed of it, even if it sounds silly or if people don't get it yet. You can always turn it into art, a game, song, drawing, or a weird project about battle chickens. Whatever works. So why did I leave this project alone for so long? Pretty much two reasons. Web builds were blocked by audio technology due to an fmod bug on the web, and I was building a multiplayer game mostly alone. And together, those two things hit hard. The web build problem mattered a lot more than it sounds. If I want friends to test the game with me, the dream setup is simple. I send a link, they click it, and they play. Not, bro, download this thing. No, I promise it's safe. Nah, your firewall is just dramatic, bro. When that easy path is gone, testing gets way harder. And when you're already making a multiplayer game alone, that pain multiplies. I had bots, I could play with them, that helped me for a while. But bots are not real people. They don't lag like real people. They don't do weird player stuff. And netcode only starts telling the truth when the internet gets involved. Thankfully, things are in a much better place now. The audio side is no longer the same blocker for web builds, so putting this in front of people feels realistic again. And the goal is super simple. I want people playing online, real matches, feedback, pain, and fun. Before I throw the prototype out there, I wanted to clean up the foundation though. A lot of this is not glamorous, but this is the stuff that make a project feel alive again. Alright, source control first. I somehow had a whole project without proper version control setup. It was basically a giant blob of files and feelings. So I finally did the adult thing. Created the repo, added the origin, made the first commit, waited a suspicious amount of time for it to finish, then pushed it to a private remote. First checkbox is done. Nice. Netcode is its own universe. The deeper you go, the more your brain starts sweating. Right now, the game simulation runs at 50 ticks per second. That means the world updates 50 times every second. I may bring that lower later, maybe closer to 30 like League and Dota, but for now it's 50. The old version of the netcode was basically trying to keep the client clock glued to the server clock. If the client got too far ahead, it slowed down. If it fell behind, it tried to catch up. That was enough for local testing. Same machine, low latency, everything feels smarter than it really is. But real players on real internet? That setup was not going to carry us very far. So the next step was giving each player input its own sequence number. Every click or command gets an input sequence. That matters because now the client can act immediately instead of waiting around for the server to answer.
Lame.
That immediate local response is client-side prediction. You click to move and your character starts moving right away on your screen. Not 2 years later, not after a round trip through the internet, right away. Of course, the server is still the boss. So eventually the server sends back the real authoritative state, and when that happens, the client checks which inputs the server already processed, then it throws away the confirmed ones, keeping the still pending ones and replay those on top of the server state. That is called reconciliation. So the client is basically saying, cool, here's the real answer from the server. Now let me reapply the few things I already did locally, but the server hasn't confirmed yet. That is a much better mental model than just saying, the client guesses and hopes for the best. It's more like, guess fast, correct gently, keep the game feeling responsive. For other players, we do something simpler. We don't predict their inputs because they're not ours. Instead, we keep a small buffer on their recent states and blend them. Not just take the average, more like smoothly moving between recent known positions so they don't jitter all over the place. Another issue was how harsh the game used to be with input timing. Late inputs were getting thrown away completely, and inputs that arrived too far ahead could also cause weirdness. A simple fix on the too early side was to clamp the super ahead inputs back toward the current server timeline. That stops some of the nonsense before it even starts. Late inputs are trickier because if you blindly accept everything late, you can create fake fairness. A laggy player could land something that should have already missed. From someone else's point of view, that feels awful. So in that case, the answer is not accept everything. The answer is accept some things carefully. What the server can do now is keep a short history of snapshots. So if an input shows up a little late but still inside the allowed window, the server can place that input back where it belonged, rewind that agent to the saved snapshot from that moment, and replay it forward. That's the current version of the rewind, and honestly, even saying that out loud it still sounds illegal. Now, for full combat lag compensation, the idea gets even crazier. That's the version where you rewind enough of the world to judge a hit based on what the attacking player actually saw at that time. That kind of thing is how you get those classic "I was already behind the wall" shooter clips.
You just lamed.
But to be clear, that full world rewind is heavier and it's not the same thing as the movement replay we're doing. Movement replay is in. Full combat compensation is the bigger beast and still needs more work before I fully trust it. So yeah, we're officially doing small, controlled amounts of time travel, just like normal day to game developers. This was barely the second item on the list and there's still a lot I want to share. But this already feels huge to me. This project is breathing again. The prototype is up on itch if you want to mess with it, make a room, call your friends, break things. Tell me what feels good and what feels cursed. Next time I want to talk about auto animation while running and get that to blend in without feeling janky. Super.